that I would not have found some of the TCO information had it not been for Aaron coming forward.
Project Veritas protected me, but also my identity. You know, I could have been exposed right away, and I wasn't. I trust you guys.
We spent a lot of time in prayer in my family. We thought about it. This was the answer that seemed to be the most, it's the last bastion that I see of people doing journalism. If the goal is truth, let's take it. Let's bring it to people who will expose it. And I know that you guys will share it in a way that's appropriate.
And if you want our country to turn back towards God and family and our Constitution, then prepare yourselves so that when you're called into action, you can be brave and you can do the right something.
All right, who's ready to be brave? Yeah, that's what I like to hear. Are you guys pretty well compressed toward the front of the stage? I've had a request from Hannah that we skinny up, but if you're good where you are, great. If you want to fill in some of the spots up here, I think they would love it even more. Project Veritas has been very important in culminating relationships with whistleblowers, because were it not for some of the whistleblowers who have bravely come forward, the lying liars would continue to lie to us because they think we're stupid. And we're not. You know who else is not stupid? Hannah Giles. She's very smart. She is the CEO of Project Veritas, and she was launched into the cultural stratosphere in 2009 with the Acorn Pimps and Hoes investigation, which we all remember, and now she is at the helm of this organization that is finding whistleblowers and telling their stories. So this is going to be a very interesting panel of some of the most learned and bravest whistleblowers that exist today, that have worked from within to come outside and tell you their crucial and critical stories. So let's welcome, to introduce everybody, Hannah Giles, the CEO of Project Veritas. It's for you, FreedomFest.
Who's watching me?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? How are y'all? Okay, so I'm the new CEO of Project Veritas. I've been behind the scenes in this movement for over a decade. I brought James O'Keefe the Acorn video investigation of 2009, and I was wearing a whole lot less than I'm wearing today for that video. When I did that story, I was 20 years old. I'd been working on it since I was 19 years old. Brought it to James, we worked together, got an amazing product. Then we took it to Andrew Breitbart. Andrew Breitbart had been working closely with Pat Caddell, a pollster for Jimmy Carter, back when he was so Pat Caddell was 21 when he was a pollster for Jimmy Carter, and then he polled the nation for decades after that. When James brought the video footage to Andrew, Andrew said, "This is something that the American people need, and here's why." And he talked about Pat Caddell's research. And Pat Caddell's research was the disenfranchised, the disenchanted majority of Americans. There's not a 50-50 divide. The majority of Americans are frustrated, and they're pissed off, and they're synced up. And that's why he took the Acorn video investigation. And Andrew said, "I will protect you, and your peril will be my peril." And that's how Project Veritas launched. James O'Keefe has done an amazing job launching this company. And now there's 50 people over at Project Veritas, and one of our specialties is the federal whistleblowers and corporate insiders. So today I want you guys to get to know some of our federal whistleblowers and hear their stories and understand where we're going as a news organization. Take it from here. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Aaron Stevenson. I was a former DHS employee. I got fired. I blew the whistle on child sex trafficking back in 2021, and then I came forward publicly to blow the whistle on some pretty inherent USCIS corruption about asylum as a whole. And then right before they fired me, I came out again about how many terrorists we brought in from Afghanistan during the fall of Kabul in 2021. I got fired, and here I am.
And then my name is Tara Rodas, and thanks to the bravery of Aaron Stevenson, and thanks to Project Veritas and James O'Keefe for publishing the story, I was sitting on the Pomona Fairplex emergency intake site processing unaccompanied children. So you may know that children were coming to this country from other countries. We were taking them into the care, HHS, and then delivering them to sponsors, unvetted sponsors throughout the United States. So because one whistleblower came forward and because one organization was willing to tell the truth, I was able to then uncover and report that the US government is the middleman in a large-scale, multi-billion-dollar child trafficking operation. We literally have government-sponsored, taxpayer-funded child trafficking. So one whistleblower coming forward, telling the truth, sets in motion a cascade of things that you could never imagine. So I was very grateful for the opportunity for someone to tell the truth. And who knows, maybe one of you could be the next person to come forward.
Good morning, y'all. My name is Seraphin. I'm a recovering FBI agent. I spent 6 years at the FBI investigating counterintelligence. I worked on the Chinese threat, which is a legitimate and serious problem, although unfortunately we have a non-legitimate and an unserious group of people that are dealing with it from the federal government. I always tell people that the federal government is probably the worst tool to solve any problem. It's sometimes the only tool, but that is rare. It's more and more rare. I can see there's a defund the IRS shirt out there. I can get well behind that idea. A short tax code would be nice, maybe less tax. In fact, our founding fathers probably got involved physically over far less than what we have tolerated over the years. And so one of the things that I would say is most important, and my whistleblowing activities are a number of them. Some of them are public, some of them are private, some of them with Project Veritas, some of them have gone to other news media organizations. Generally speaking, I went to Congress, which is the right way to do things. They teach you that they're going to allow you to go to Congress. You can bring your petition for grievance. This is what we're supposed to be able to do. There's U.S. law that says we can do so. 5 U.S.C. 7211 says all federal government employees can do this. The people on the stage have realized that that is not necessarily a good outcome. That's not the way that you're going to get a favorable outcome for the American people. And in many ways, we've gotten a government that has gotten far, far away from its original purpose. It doesn't serve the people anymore. Many of you will all know this. I'm preaching to the choir. But it's actually serving its own interests. And I've kind of been on this crusade to let people know two things. Number one, the FBI is an intelligence agency first. That's big and dangerous. When you have an intelligence agency that has the ability to go out and arrest people, that's what the secret police in every single totalitarian situation in history has been. So we have to know that up front. It's an intelligence agency, which means you should have an inherent distrust. And the second thing is there's a thing called the administrative state, and many people call it the deep state, and I think that's far too sexy. If you've ever worked in government, you know way more about the fact that it is not sexy. It's actually, not a parking garage in the dark where people are handing off dossiers and they're having covert meetings. It's actually like a crappy floor at like a Sheraton that's been stained for many years, and there's ceiling tiles that have holes in them because somebody hasn't repaired the mold. That's more government, right? And government in general is, like I said, it's the least efficient way to solve these problems. But when you consider that all the interests are aligned within the government, we're not looking at evil people, we're looking at an evil sort of culture that exists. And that's incredibly dangerous for all of us as citizens. We have to demand that thing back. So I've been kind of pushing that everybody sort of understand that they have to hold their own line. Not everybody is going to be in the position to say, this is a government overreach and I'm going to step forward and expose it. Most people's job is actually going to be one of two things. One, supporting people that do come forward, whether it be financially, whether it be with your votes, whether it be voicing it to your representatives. That's a good way to do it. And the other way is that you personally do not accept tyranny in your own lives. And that's an incremental step. And the only way you do that is you draw your line in the sand. Some of us lost that line in 2020. People lost a lot of freedoms. We've got to regain that line, stand in front of it, and then do not let it fall no matter what happens to you. And that may mean we have to get comfortable with going to jail, with civil disobedience. And there are people, you have to believe, that are willing to give their life for it. I have friends who died in the military service when I was enlisted.
This thing happens. So if we're going to say that this is a land of the free, home of the brave, we have to act like that. And brave means there are going to be consequences that are uncomfortable for you, right? You may lose your job, you may lose friends, you may have family members that don't talk to you. I have all those things. I've done all those things, actually. And when that happens, that's okay. That's what your job is. If you want to look forward and see the future, I've got young children, and I need to see that my children are going to live in an America closer to what I grew up in. That's my message to everybody.
Thank you, guys. So we're going to ask them